What's up, everyone? It's Tycho here with Your Voice Media, and I'm talking to Phil and Dan. Let me let you both know this. I am loving the show. This is amazing. This is what we needed, okay? Now, my first question is for you, Phil. And we've seen the show discuss therapy, veganism, which I love because I'm a plant-based eater.
All right.
And other topics and themes that are becoming a little more implemented in the Black community. Are you using the show to address the taboo topics that you may feel the Black community needs to address in order for us to grow and move forward as a community?
I overall, I think with each episode, without being preachy or standing on a soapbox, we definitely wanted to cover topics that are pertinent to the Black community, even if some of those topics are uncomfortable conversations to have. And so when, the therapy episode, which I think is an episode that's super close to my heart because I only started doing therapy last year, it felt like ripe territory for us to cover that because it is still stigmatized in the Black community. And I know personally that I've benefited so much from doing it that it was like, okay, how do we find a way to tell a story like that, but still make it fun and funny? And so throughout the course of the season and with each episode, we definitely have at least one theme that is relevant to the Black community and Black men specifically. And we tried to do it in a way that still led with the fun without making the joke the taboo thing, if that makes sense.
Still tasteful. That's what I like.
Also, I think when you're trying to make comedy, conflict and like stigma or taboo, it's juicy. It's good. It's like it's a good starting place.
Yeah.
Like when in the therapy episode, when when Wyatt brings up therapy, everyone's reaction feels so genuine and funny right off the bat, and it's like, oh, okay, we're right into a comedy story now.
And I've had those conversations in real life, you know what I mean? Like, and so, yeah, it felt like just fun and interesting for us to do.
That's awesome. Now, Dan, what was it about Grand Crew that made you want to sign up and help Phil develop?
Well, I signed up with Phil first. Phil and I worked together on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I was blown away by his talent, both in terms of being a funny person, but also in terms of telling story, and really in terms of how he deals with people. I loved working with him, and selfishly, I was like, I got to hitch my star to this, hitch my wagon to this star, whatever the expression is.
We'll go with that one.
I had to hitchhike in the moon. I don't know, but also I have fun with Phil. So I was like, hey, do you want to develop something together? Do you want to make a show together? And Phil, very luckily for me, said yes. And then we spent a little bit of time trying to come up with real sitcom ideas. I mean, it's just very traditional sitcom ideas that. And while we would have these discussions, we'd meet every Monday or something for breakfast, and we'd talk about ideas. And because like everybody, we wanted to procrastinate, I'd be like, Phil, tell me about your life. Also, I'm married and boring. So I was like, please tell me something interesting happened. And he would talk about going to this wine bar and hanging out with his friends and like all the different dynamics. And eventually I was like, Phil, I think that might be the show.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, it's definitely the show. And then we went and saw it. And I went and hung out at the wine bar with him, and it felt so rich. And so I loved the idea, but really, I mean, truth be told, I was just really in love with the idea of working with Phil.
I love that. Now, Phil, you are bridging Black culture onto a historically white network and normality into these characters of do-rags, our African-American vernacular. What was that like to get all those intricate parts of the Black experience into the show? Was there anything you wanted to add that didn't make the cut this season?
The only stuff that I think didn't make the cut was just the limitations of only having 10 episodes of stories to tell. NBC, they were great collaborators, and they were down for the topics that I wanted to cover, and from the thematic stuff down to the super fun and silly stuff, they were very on board for that. But I think at the end of the day, it was just writing in my tone of voice. I don't think I was as intentional as like saying, okay, this is how it needs to be to speak to culture. It's like, because I'm only one person and one individual with my specific writing style. And so I think we led with that as a writer's room, as opposed to forcing any type of kind of dialogue or style.
But I think you also didn't feel like there were guardrails and there were things you couldn't
for sure
talk about or do. Yeah,
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Very open space for you to be creative.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, you also have an overall deal with Universal Television.
Yeah.
Now, can you give the audience just a little bit an idea on possibly the next project that you may have cooking up for us?
Oh,
I thought you were going to ask him how much money he was making. I was like, this is good.
I mean, you want to ask that too, Phil. I don't know.
I do not recall. I've got a couple of things in the mix, but I don't want to get into the details of it, but I will say I am interested in telling more nuanced Black stories and helping people from a producerial standpoint that look like me tell more stories, whether it be on network TV or otherwise. So I think there's room for more showrunners of color, more Black showrunners. And my hope is that I can play some part in kind of elevating and expanding the number of Black creators that get their shot at speaking their voice and telling stories that they want to tell.
Also, it should be pointed out. Oh, sorry. Please say what you were going to say. I was going to say, running a show is like more than a full-time job. So if Phil, especially early on, it's so hard. And so it's like, I love hearing you say that you're going to do that, but I'm like, I don't know.
That's why I'm here. Dan, that's why I'm here.
He's a Superman to me. So that's why. For me, you got this. Now, one thing I have for you both is we would love to have Garrett Morris back. Now, he was great as a narrator. Was the intention to only have him introduced in the series in the beginning? Can we possibly implement in a new season? Before we wrap here, what can we expect?
Yeah, so Garrett is a legend. He's amazing and so amazing as a human being. And we were lucky to have him get him for the pilot. We did have some discussion about bringing him maybe in the pilot, the middle and the end. But the way that the season ended up breaking out, it didn't feel like it felt naturally within how the stories were breaking. That being said, if we're fortunate enough to get a season 2, I think it's a conversation that we definitely would be open to, just considering how amazing he is and how he can be used to tee up, thematically what we want to achieve broadly with it in the case that we were to get a new season. But he doesn't appear anymore in season 1, but it was something that we definitely talked about, and we were very, very fortunate and excited to have him play a part in the show.
I love that. Well, cheers and hoping for season 2. And I want to let you know, Phil, I love the little nod you give to Insecure in one of the later episodes around the song choices. Insecure fans, if you know, you know.
All right.
And I hope to see more. So thank you both so much.
Thank you so much.